back to episode number 43 of Travel Talk. Today's episode will be covering me going back to work for the first time in 5 months. So, some fun times. Some fun times. And, well, it's sort of work anyway. It's delivering leaflets, but similar. So, we'll get straight into it. And, I'll explain to you how my couple of days delivering leaflets went and what I got up to. So, the first day kicked off about 6:30, and I had to be at the offices for 8 o'clock, so it meant that I had to obviously jump on the train, but I also had to get ready that morning, have some breakfast, etc. So I got up, got dressed, and was at the train station by about 7:20. I think I got the 7:30 train, which got me there for a reasonable time. Got into Canterbury at about 10 to 8. And just hung around at the offices until one of the supervisors turned up to kind of let us in. And everyone in the group got given a GPS tracker, a map of the area they'd be covering, and 2 sets of flyers to be distributed together in each mailbox. So you'd have one flyer for a property company and one flyer for, a health food company, and you'd have to put one of each in each letterbox. So it's not overly difficult, but the weight of the leaflets is obviously a big thing for a lot of people, but it didn't really bother me. I just got on with it and made sure that I was going to get paid and get enough money that I could enjoy myself. Everyone in this group piled into a minivan, all got dropped off at strategic places with our maps and for our route. And I got a fairly decent route, to be honest. It was a little bit uphill, but I couldn't complain about it. It was around all these kind of fairly older houses. And there was a large shopping centre in the middle with a massive Woolworths in it, so that was really handy. So it meant I could get popping in and getting drinks, which was all good. We got dropped off about 10 o'clock, I think. It was just after 10 o'clock. And everyone got sent on their way. Got the phone number of the supervisor, so if we needed more leaflets or we had a problem, then we could text them. Or if when we actually finished, we then text them and they came and picked us up. So it's a pretty simple process, in all honesty. It was pretty easy to get the hang of. And so off I headed into the Australian community to deliver leaflets about selling their houses, and I think it was something to do with health food. So, exciting times. The map was pretty easy. Basically what they did, they didn't get proper maps, they just printed off the street map from Google Maps and highlighted the areas they wanted you to cover. Which is easy enough, it's easy to follow a map, and it's like a street map that you'd have in England. In all honesty, it's just go up one side, down the other side, up one side, down the other side. It's not rocket science, but I can imagine some people would still find it quite difficult. After about half of the map covered, I came across a house with there was a bloke outside doing some gardening, and as I was heading up his drive to put them in the letterbox, I offered to put the flyers in, and he went, "Oh, they're for the wife then." And as I replied, he noticed my accent, and he told me I looked a bit warm, so he popped in and got me a can of Coke. And I sat down for 10 minutes on his front garden and was talking to him, and he was telling me about how his daughter lives in Yeovil here in England, and now he'd been across twice in 10 years, and that he was coming across in, I think it was December of last year, to go to his daughter's wedding, which was quite nice. And it was really, really nice of him to offer me a drink and have a little chat with me. But then I realised I was being tracked by these GPS things. I was like, oh crap, I can't really sit there too long. So I thanked him for the Coke and kind of continued on. But yeah, Australian people are so chilled out, honestly, it's amazing. I was wandering along, he's like, oh, do you want a drink? I was like, yeah. He offered me something alcoholic at first, but obviously can't accept that because I was working. But, Coke's good too. Anything free, I can't complain. And he was a really nice bloke. Like I say, he wanted to have a little chat, and I think that made his day a little bit, so I was happy about that. So, I continued on, completed the rest of my route, and texted the supervisor, said, look, I'm finished. He came and got me, dropped me at the nearest train station, and then I jumped on the next train that was Sydney bound and, just headed back to the hostel. Didn't actually get back to the hostel until about 3:30. Just because the train times didn't really link up to when I'd been dropped off, so that was not the end of the world, but it just meant sitting around for half an hour and waiting for a train, but I was getting paid to do very little that day, so I wasn't that bothered. Like I say, I got back to the hostel, Still a fair portion of the day left when I got back, but I ended up heading downstairs and booking a low-cut bus tour, which, just to give you a quick idea of what that is, it was a fairly new company, and basically what they did was worked small bus tours up and down the east coast of Australia. So you could jump on it in Sydney, and kind of, I don't know, go up to Brisbane, spend 4 or 5 weeks there, then jump back on it again, go to Hervey Bay, do maybe a week there, jump on it again. You didn't have to like pre-book every single little part. It was kind of an open ticket as such, so you just kind of booked whenever you wanted to. So if you say, I don't know, in Brisbane, and you've been there 2 weeks and thought, right, this isn't for me anymore, you just literally went on their website and got onto the next bus, and then you would leave. So it was a really good service for that fact. You know, it meant that you didn't have to hang around in places that you didn't want to be in. So it was good, and that cost about $600. So it would have been useful if I'd have actually made it up to Cairns, but unfortunately, due to one thing or another, I never got there. But yeah, it came in handy for quite a few different reasons, and I'll cover them obviously in future videos when I'm actually on the bus tour. But yeah, that was pretty much that day in all honesty. I had to be back at the offices for 9:30 the next day to deliver some more leaflets, and it was a Saturday, so it meant I could lay until 7:30. Woo! But yeah, looking forward to another day at work, and obviously I was excited to earn more money. And on to the following day, woke up at about 7, got myself washed and headed out. Everyone else was asleep, so I tried to be as quiet as possible, obviously it being a Saturday morning, and made sure that I didn't really wake anyone up. Well, I tried not to, I probably did, but headed downstairs, had some breakfast again. I had full English and a large coffee just to make sure that I was ready for the day. Jumped on the train again, headed down to Canterbury, got there for about 8:30, and realised I got there far too early because I wasn't starting work till 9:30, so I had some time to kill. So first of all, I walked up to the local Aldi to buy some kind of crisps and a bottle of water for while I was out. When I got to Aldi, this is a good story. I got to Aldi and there was a huge queue outside. I was like, well, that's a bit strange. I know it's a Saturday morning, but it's still a bit weird. And these people were kind of like barging into each other. The doors weren't open. They were just kind of trying to queue up, but everyone seemed very uptight. And people were literally like clambering over each other to get in, and I couldn't work out why initially they were doing that. It was only when I actually went inside and realised they were actually selling washing machines for $99 in Aldi, which is like, what, £50? So people were literally coming out with trolleys with 2 or 3 or 4 washing machines in them, and I was just stunned. People were actually attacking each other for washing machines. It was I've never seen anyone attack each other for a washing machine, but now I have, and that's an experience. So after watching Mortal Kombat in Aldi, I headed down a little bit further towards the offices and sat in a park nearby for about 15 minutes just to pass a bit of time. It was a nice enough day. The sun was out, it was warm, and it was pretty peaceful at that time of the morning, being a Saturday. So yeah, it was a nice to kind of relax before I started doing that job that day. So yeah, I had a brief stint in the park, headed up to the leaflet offices to see what I'd be doing for the day. And when I arrived, the supervisor asked me my name, and I told him. He said I'd done such a good job the previous day with delivering so many leaflets in such a small amount of time that he wanted me to deliver government flyers that day, well, that following day, to what was the former Olympic Village in Sydney, up by the Olympic Stadium, which was obviously really great because I'd not only get to earn more money because he'd be doubling what I'd be paid that day, but I'd also get to walk around the former Olympic Village and see the stadium. So it all panned out pretty well that day, I'm not going to lie. So yeah, so I got paid $120 that day and got to walk around the Olympic Village, which was, can't complain about that. So yeah, jumped in the back of the minivan again. He drove me to the Olympic Park site and dropped me off, gave me my map again and told me what I needed to cover. And then off I went to walk around in the sun, possibly step in on the same pavement as famous former Olympians. And it was pretty cool, It's to think about where I was and what I was doing. It was really interesting, and it meant it kind of gave extra importance to that day, in all honesty. I mean, obviously I was earning and I was doing a job outside, so that was cool. But at the same time, got to walk around the former Olympic Village, which you can't always say you've done that. So I was really happy that day. But yeah, so within about 4 hours, I covered the entire Olympic Village, and I think since the Olympic Village was the Olympic Village, they've built about 20 apartment buildings, give or take now. So I covered all of them as well. And but believe me, it really felt like I'd done a lot of work that day, and it was good. It felt rewarding, but at the same time, my feet were killing me. So I'd done a lot of walking. And yeah, with that finished, I texted the supervisor, and he came and picked me up, dropped me at the nearest train station again, and I made my way back to Sydney Central. Didn't have to wait long for a train. Ironically, got there and there was a train within 5 minutes. Managed not to get lost, even though it was a totally random train station he dropped me at that I'd never been to before. But yeah, no, it was a good day. Like I say, I got to run around the Olympic Village. There's not many people who can say they've done that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And had a wash when I got back to the hostel, grabbed some dinner, and headed to bed for an early night because I was absolutely shattered, as you can imagine, after doing 2 days of non-stop walking with thousands of leaflets in a backpack on my back. So I was quite happy. Obviously, I'd earned $200, give or take, in that 2 days working for the leaflet company, and I really enjoyed my experience. It was very interesting, getting to see different parts of Sydney that you wouldn't necessarily see if not. And yeah, I really thank them for giving me that opportunity and giving me my first job in Australia, really. And this is where I'll leave this episode. Thank you very much for listening to me ramble on about my leaflet antics and escapades. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully you've learnt a little bit about Australian jobs and kind of the wage they pay to backpackers, because the backpacker wage isn't amazing, but what you've got to realise at the same time is it's a job and they're hard to come by, so make the most of what you get. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you have, and I'll catch you next time, and I'll see you later.